aisle here, Republican and Democrat. Dan Goldman saying Trump's unilateral operation last night was an illegal act of war without Congress's authorization. Maduro is a brutal dictator who has oppressed the Venezuelan people, but our Constitution does not yield for bad people. If Congress is to survive as an institution, the Republican majority must join us, exercising our power to hold this administration accountable for this flagrant violation of the Constitution. As of right now, a lot of the posts we're seeing, as you can imagine, are Republicans who are praising this and Democrats who are against it, saying that it was an illegal act of war. And many of them saying, as you heard Mark Chandler say a short time ago, that essentially they believe that they should have been notified prior to this, but Mark making the point, as well as Wiz, who we had earlier, that they didn't want to reveal anything. They didn't want any kind of potential leak, and they were able to avoid that, as this here was a surprise to so many people when they woke up. Rick Scott, a Republican there in Florida, senator, saying Maduro was never the president of Venezuela. He's a thug and narco-terrorist whose regime enacted terror on the people of Venezuela and sent drugs into our country to kill our kids and grandkids. Today, I'm grateful that thanks to President Trump's leadership and our brave military, he will be held accountable. And we're not showing these to you on the screen. I'm just reading them because I want to leave up the shot so we can see when President Trump does walk in. And as we continue to go through these here, Senator Ruben Gallego saying there is no justification for the United States to be at war with Venezuela. I lived through the consequences of an illegal war sold to the American people with lies. We swore we would never repeat those mistakes. Yet here we are again. The American people did not ask for this. Congress did not authorize this, and our service members should not be sent into harm's way for another unnecessary conflict. As I mentioned, a lot of Democrats coming out against this and Republicans praising it. We are going to have those lawmakers on throughout the day to share their thoughts, their views, as it does appear that those lawmakers should actually be getting a briefing at some point in the coming days to update them on all of this, including exactly how it did play out. This one is coming in from leader John Thune, who says for years, Nicolas Maduro, the cartel he leads, and other cartels in Latin America have trafficked drugs into the United States, which have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. President Trump's decisive action to disrupt the unacceptable status quo and apprehend Maduro through the execution of a valid Department of Justice warrant is an important first step to bring him to justice for the drug crimes for which he has been indicted in the United States. I am grateful for the brave men and women of our armed forces who carried out this necessary action. I spoke to Secretary Rubio early this morning, and I look forward to receiving further briefings from the administration on this operation as part of its comprehensive counter-narcotics strategy when the Senate returns to Washington next week. I can imagine a lot of these briefings, though, would be behind closed doors. We're not going to be able to actually get inside there. Now, potentially we will get remarks, though. Sometimes lawmakers will go into these meetings, they'll walk out, and they'll come up to our roving camera to make some comments there. Thomas Massie, also a Republican, who has been very critical.
We'll get some comments.
Trump saying,
this must be working for the public.
Constitutionally sound, the Attorney General wouldn't be tweeting that they've arrested the president of a sovereign country and his wife for possessing guns in violation of a 1934 U.S. firearm law. Again, Thomas Massie has been very critical of Trump in the past, and that is a post that is just coming in.
Come on, that's hilarious. As in a gross, egregious act.
This is running just a little bit behind, as he was slated to speak at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
He's going to be in trouble.
And we have received several different 2-minute warnings, 5-minute warnings. However, as you can
Everyone
see,
knows
the president has not
Congress
been just yet. That's why I'm reading some of these posts
here
to give you that reaction and updating you on the latest information.
Absolutely nuts.
And of course, there are people asking Fox right now if there has been any kind of update on the timing. We know that President Trump and Secretary Hegseth are probably talking right now, providing the latest briefing to each other, the latest information
Get back,
with the
Elvis.
Trump
Get.
administration, so they can be kind of up to date on all of this when they do speak to
Go
the
lay down.
media
Get back.
in just a matter of moments.
trying.
And more importantly than the media, speaking to
bastard.
the nation as a whole.
Is it here? There, let's go. Let's see what goes on. I'm in the bathroom. I gotta get these dogs some food. So we're here. We're just not here. Can't believe you did that. It was pretty crazy. I mean, you stop the imports for sure, but I don't think you can invade or do whatever they just did. Bombed.
And of course, as you can hear there, we're kind of listening into some of the chatter. Folks have received the 2-minute warning, the 5-minute warning. However, this has not started just yet. I'm sure everyone there who's involved wants to make sure that they do have the most up-to-date information before they do provide it to the media. And as I said, more importantly than providing it to the media is providing it to the American people who are watching this in very large numbers. And if you're choosing to watch it with us here on Live Now from Fox, thank you so much for doing that. We're going to continue to cover this all throughout the day and bring you the very latest information as we get it. These comments from President Trump are going to be in full. We're also going to have Secretary Hegseth, and we may potentially get even more news conferences as the day does progress. We'll, of course, bring those to you as they do come into our newsroom. Okay, and my producer, Ryan here, just saying that there is a photo that it looks like we have via Truth Social that does actually show Maduro in custody, and this would be the first of the photos released. She's working to pull it up for me right now so we can show it to you at home as we await President Trump making his remarks. And of course, we're doing this all kind of on the fly here. So what I want to do is kind of pop this up on your screen. It's crazy. Again, the second that we see Trump walk up, you will not miss any of that here. But this is actually a post coming in from Truth Social. Big thank you to Ryan, producer here at Live Now from Fox. And you can see that photo. Looks like Nicolas Maduro's eyes are covered here. He has a bottle of water in his hand, and it says Nicolas Maduro on board the USS Warship there that is bringing him over to New York. We know that's where he's indicted, so we definitely wanted to bring this post to you here on Live Now from Fox. A big thank you to our producer, Ryan, who was able to find that and pull it in. But again, that is the first of the images that we have seen of Maduro in custody just coming in as he and his wife are traveling right now by boat over to New York where they face that indictment. We have not received an update just yet on the timing of when all of this should be getting underway, but we're keeping an eye on that. And of course, we did get the alert, as I mentioned, around 11 a.m. from the White House, which normally indicates that they are about to start any moment now. However, as you can see, if you're watching us here, it has not started just yet. A live look there at the podium once again with the presidential seal as we await this beginning anytime soon here. The second it does begin, I promise you will not miss any of this here on Live Now from Fox as soon as President Trump does start speaking in just a matter of moments. And it does look like President Trump did release that image that I told you about of Maduro and showed you, but also video of the strikes themselves that he posted moments ago on Truth Social. We've seen a lot of the different videos, kind of short clips that have come in, but he did also release video that shows the explosions here. I'm going to work to pull that up for you here on your screen as well as we do await the comments from President Trump and Secretary Hegseth. And unfortunately, not able to pull that up just yet. But as I mentioned, our producer Ryan is working on that. So we're going to show it to you as soon as we get it. But it just provides a little bit more context on all of this. And if you are just joining us, we are just past the half-hour mark. It is 11:31 on the East Coast and 8:31 on the West Coast.
As a small business owner, a million things can keep you stuck in the office, like building the schedule, dealing with timesheets. When it comes to those admin tasks, we've got your back office. So you can get back to more important things. Get scheduling done, get timesheets done, get shift done with When I Work.
Everyone go to my website.
Now, as we await the
Make a
comments
profile.
from President Trump, which should be taking place here in just a matter of
God damn it.
moments, you can see the podium has been set up. This was slated for 11 a.m. Eastern time, and right now we are about 32 minutes after that. We did at one
Go
point
to my
receive
website
a
right here.
5-minute warning, and then a bit
Put
later
something on the map.
we received a 2-minute warning. Not sure of the reasoning behind the delay, but we are still awaiting this. And as I pop this up on your screen, you can see the reporters who are in the room there in Mar-a-Lago, including Lucas Tomlinson with Fox News, who is kind of there in the background. He's posting all over Twitter or X, depending what you call it. So you can actually check out his posts as well, and we're bringing those to you as soon as he provides that information.
My neck is
Now,
all
I also
messed up.
do
I
want to
gotta
go
pop it.
through some of the other posts that are coming in from different lawmakers as they react. We're talking both
There it was.
Republicans and Democrats. And of course, as I mentioned, Republicans are essentially praising this while Democrats seem to be against it. The only Republican that we have
No
seen
way.
so far come out against it is
No way.
Thomas Massie, who has been a big critic of President Trump over the last several months and really several years. Lindsey Graham, senator, of course, from South Carolina, saying
That's
to the pathetically
bad.
weak and hand-wringing liberal Democrats who seem to be okay with a perpetual drug caliphate in our backyard, the centerpiece of which is Venezuela. Get a grip. If you can't celebrate the fact that our military, under President Trump's command, bravely captured and brought to justice an evil, corrupt narco-terrorist dictator with American blood on his hands, then your hatred of President Trump denies you the ability to celebrate making America safer and creating a path for liberating the highly oppressed people of Venezuela. Let it be known that when the modern Democrat Party is in charge, they could care less about protecting your money from fraudulent enterprises, and when it comes to confronting evil, focuses on absurd, quote, legal theories, and is virtually AWOL for the cause of freedom. Disgusting. We're likely going to be getting all kinds of reaction coming in from different lawmakers. We're going to have that for you here on Live Now from Fox as soon as it comes in. Again, if you are just joining us, we are taking a live look over Mar-a-Lago at this hour. You can see members of the media are there. They are lined up and ready to go. We should be getting another warning coming up soon that provides maybe just a little bit more information about the latest timing for this news conference, slated for 11:30 a.m. And essentially, we're still waiting on that to begin. It's about 34 minutes behind. And we know that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth will also be there, likely that they are doing kind of a final briefing, an update here for all of the folks that will be involved in this effort here. And really briefly, I know I don't really want to go away from this shot because I want to make sure that we keep it up so we see as President Trump does enter into the room. We do have this live image that is over, looks like it's in the area of Venezuela, where you can see what looks to be a heavy military presence at this hour. We're getting a lot of these live images, and we've also seen a lot of folks who have essentially been gathering in large groups. We're talking tens, hundreds, thousands of people who are all over the place as they are essentially gathering, trying to figure out what's going on. Earlier, it appeared that many of them were supporters of Maduro. However, what we've heard now is that a lot of those people who were there were just essentially trying to figure out what was going on. They heard that this situation, had unfolded, but weren't sure on the details. So that's why they gathered in the streets so they could speak to people. Some of them were holding signs, though, in support of Maduro. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a Democrat, saying Trump promised no, quote, new stupid wars, yet he's starting one with Venezuela without congressional approval. People can't afford groceries and millions are losing health care, but this is where his focus is. This is unconstitutional and not what the American people asked for, end quote. Republicans showing the praise for this and Democrats continuing overall to show their opposition to it. We will have several of those lawmakers on throughout the day and be in touch with them so we can bring you all of the latest information. And of course, we're keeping an eye on different developments in the situation here, things that President Trump has and has not said just yet. As I mentioned, the president did post a photo on social media showing Maduro wearing a sweatsuit and a blindfold with the caption here. It does say Nicolas Maduro on board that warship. Going to pop it up for you right here on your screen. That is the first photo that has been released by U.S. officials showing Maduro in custody as he is on that U.S. warship headed for New York, where he has been indicted. He and his wife both indicted and expected to face some serious charges there. Not quite clear if we are going to get any sort of live images from inside the courtroom when they arrive, or even images that show their arrival. However, anything we get, we're going to bring to you live, uninterrupted, on Live Now from Fox. That is what we do. President Trump telling Fox News a bit earlier on today that he actually spoke to Maduro several times, including most recently about a week ago. Maduro denied that in an interview on New Year's Eve, saying he had only spoken to Trump in November. But President Trump did say that he spoke with Maduro about a week ago.
When is this going to start,
Maduro
man?
said he was not going to surrender, so the next step, of course, was to go in and seize Maduro and his wife, taking them into custody and bringing them back to the U.S. to face the charges. We also saw some video of smoke rising from the military base there in Venezuela's capital of Caracas earlier on this morning, and it was one of a number of sites that were hit by those American strikes overnight. Again, I keep saying it, but this all happened just hours ago there. There were bombed buses with shattered windows. There was shrapnel seen next to some charred armored vehicles there, setting up a plume of smoke. There was some fallen street lights, chunks of nearby trees littering the streets, while hefty metal fences and signs were bent at sharp angles following the blast. We also have heard from President Trump as he spoke with Fox News. He did mention here that essentially
It's a bad dog.
there were some injured folks.
Quiet now, boy. Quiet.
Military personnel who were injured in the attack. We see President Trump. Let's lift up the audio.
Okay, thank you very much. This is big stuff. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, he's here. Let's watch it.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch
Dave's going to
a
comment. He
spectacular
sounds
assault.
a little rough.
And it was an assault like people have not seen since
Sounds tired.
World War II.
World
It was a
War
force
II.
against a
It's hard to
heavily
get that out.
fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most
For how old he
stunning,
is, he sounds pretty good, though.
effective,
to be
and
honest.
powerful displays of American
He's like so old, isn't
military
he?
might and
Last two
competence
presidents have been just ancient.
in American history. And if you
By
think about
statistics,
it, we've
not
done
just
some
saying that.
other good ones like the attack on Soleimani,
So,
the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the
Baghdadi.
generation and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites
Baghdadi.
just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer,
It's not blowing up over here.
all
Baghdadi.
perfectly executed and done. No
Where is it?
nation in the world
Baghdadi.
could
Al
achieve what
Baghdadi.
America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights
It was
of
dark at
Caracas
night.
were largely turned off.
He's dark
due
here.
to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. It's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in
He's gonna sneeze, and a
collaboration with
booger's gonna
U.S.
come
law
out of his
enforcement
nose.
caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out
Expected. That's it.
in
Oh
the
God.
sea. We
Ugh.
just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest
And because of
and most
him,
fearsome
all
military on
this
the planet by
tech
far. With
came together. We
capabilities
did
and
that
skills
because of
our
him.
enemies can
That's
scarcely
just
begin to
had nothing
imagine.
to
We
do
have
with
the
him.
best equipment
We
anywhere in the
do.
world.
Yes.
There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills 25, on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe,
I'm
proper,
messing with
and
him.
judicious transition. So
Ah.
we don't want to be involved with
Ah.
having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious, because that's what we're all about.
Wait, they
We
took him.
want peace, liberty, and justice for
We're
the
gonna
great
run the
people
country?
of Venezuela.
How are you gonna just
And that
run it?
includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now.
This is insane.
And what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our
He's like,
very
it's ours
large
now.
United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars,
What's
fix
happening?
the badly broken infrastructure, the oil
Just do
infrastructure,
this.
and
Holy
start making
shit.
money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator
This is live.
Maduro
I was
was
going
the
to see
kingpin
the
of a vast
reaction.
criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solis, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship they'll be heading to, ultimately, New York, and then a decision.
People
will
are
be
just
made
repeating,
soon
watch, do the
between New
dishes,
York and
MAGA, 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 do the dishes,
Miami
MAGA,
and
MAGA,
Florida.
MAGA, MAGA. This guy,
But we have
whatever this means. Strawberries,
people
whatever.
where the
Here comes do your
overwhelming
dishes.
evidence
Oh, yeah,
of their
call back.
crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've
It's just
seen it.
4 or
I've seen
5
what
people
we
in
have.
here
It's,
just repeating all the same shit.
It's both horrible and
Trump, Trump,
breathtaking
Trump.
that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing.
No
We had
crime.
a terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires.
Lost.
That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit
What does
for it
that mean?
whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't
What do
matter.
you
We
mean
don't
lost
need the credit.
yet? To
But
what?
we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst. They say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari. What happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons, a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms.
Why is the United States actively
costing us billions and billions of dollars? They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy. dating back more than 2 centuries. And not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines. And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal. But we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Donroe Document. I don't know. It's
I want to speak
Monroe
to President
Doctrine.
Trump.
We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs are, they've made our country rich, and they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels. And we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America. But I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation this morning. It's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raising Cane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of
on sovereignty.
Pete
It's
Hegseth.
on sovereignty. Attack on sovereignty. He said that.
Explain how the U.S. will run Venezuela. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men, and I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raising Cane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America, and again, President Trump has your back.
Elvis, go
no
lay
other
down.
country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve, the most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out. President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back. I'd like to welcome now our chairman, Chairman Raising Cane, to give a few more details about the operation. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Last night, on the order of the President of the United States and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, as the President said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists, and we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets, in early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel so, as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission,
Lay
this
down.
organization
Just chill,
does
Rue.
not
There's not
quit.
time yet.
At 10:46 p.m. Eastern
It's good,
time
though.
last
This is
night,
burger.
the president ordered the United
Yeah,
States
this is gonna be
military
good.
to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores,
What is that?
the United States began layering different effects provided by
Oh.
Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected from aircraft, were protected by aircraft
This is
from
better.
the United States Marines,
This makes it way better.
the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component is, was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the
This
element
makes
of
his speech
surprise.
way better.
As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time,
Oh, no.
or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time.
Okay,
And
whatever.
the apprehension force
Okay.
descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety
They're gonna love
and
that.
security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied
Okay.
with that fire
Pretty
with
done with that,
overwhelming
bud.
force and
Are we?
self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability.
Okay.
In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong.
You're tireless.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Dear Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He's not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward. Which I guess
you're not supposed to go to war without Congress and capturing another president or whatever he is, dictator. Strange, man.
Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple